Hi, I'm Angela Bogusz.
I'm Olivia Fingold.
And I'm Nicole Pinsky. We are students from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, studying abroad at Gustalab International Food Systems and Sustainability in Rome, Italy. This video is created for our food and media course. The main purpose of this video is to educate others on affordable and clean energy.
Today we're going to talk about what affordable and clean energy is in Italy and all their different benefits.
So first we're going to talk about solar power in Italy. Solar power is a great way to incorporate renewable and clean energy into city life. Putting solar panels on tops of buildings can help reduce energy costs, and they last up to 40 years. In 2017, Italy's energy was 8% solar power, which was beaten only by Germany in Europe. More than 730,000 solar power plants are currently installed in Italy, with a total capacity of 19.7 gigawatts. Sun energy currently produces around 26% of all renewable energy in the country. Italy may in the future challenge Spain as the role of Europe's leading country in the developing technology of concentrated solar power. There are a lot of benefits for solar energy. One of them is low maintenance costs. It reduces electricity costs, and it can be used in diverse purposes. You can have them in a solar farm or on top of buildings. It's applicable almost anywhere, and it creates a lot of jobs.
The next topic that we're going to talk about is electric cars. So first, there's a lot of benefits that come along with this new idea. So the first one is that it's easier on the environment. Electric vehicles don't have an exhaust system, which means that they don't give off emissions into the environment. Gas-powered vehicles are a huge factor of unclean air, which is why switching to an electric car can make the planet healthier. The second benefit is that you can pay up to 15 cents per mile driving gas cars, where electric vehicles run at a third of that cost. A third benefit is that they don't need oil changes because they don't run on oil, and other maintenance related to combustion engines don't matter. The fourth is that they're practically silent compared to gas-powered engines. The fifth would be that you can receive tax credit for helping lessen the impact on the environment. And lastly, you have the ability of using the HOV lane at any time of the day if you live in a high-traffic area and if that applies to you. Italians love electric cars because they have been becoming a new fad. It seems like not only in the US, but also in Italy, the trendiest products are always well represented by the majority of society, and the annual sales of electric vehicles have doubled in Italy over the past 4 years.
Next we're going to talk about wind farms. And so before we were assigned this topic of sustainable energy, I didn't know that Italy is actually the world's leading producer in wind energy. And the Campania and Puglia regions are producing the most wind energy in Italy, and most of the wind farms are located in central or southern regions. According to the Wind Power Monthly, the Strategia Energetica Nazionale, known as the acronym SEN, calls for the renewable energy reaching 28% of the energy consumption in 2030 in Italy, compared with 17.5% in 2015. The Italian government can potentially interrupt these plans for sustainability, as environmental causes can be put on the back burner as alternative sources are not fully backed by all parties. Currently, there is a new wind farm, the Marconi project, under construction near Naples that will add even more to the renewable energy sector in Italy. And to understand the power of wind, we can break it down into simple terms. Basically, the wind rotates 2 or 3 turbine blades, which in turn spin a generator that creates energy, which is then converted to electricity. This is a clean fuel source that has very little downside environmentally, as they create no emissions. One of the only negative aspects of wind turbines are the potential avian deaths that come with such rapidly turning mills, which happens occasionally. While relevant and available in Italy, wind power needs more funding. Support and expansion in order to become fully effective is needed from the government, and for such an effective resource, different regions should invest in wind power in the vast locations and countrysides that Italy has available.
So overall, in my opinion, electric cars are a great way to create affordable and clean energy. The amount of emission that releases into the air from gas-powered cars is much higher than that of an electric-powered vehicle. I believe that if at least half of Romans that drive around the city change to electric-powered cars, the air would be much less polluted.
Also, gas is very expensive here, so I feel like electric cars are a good alternative.
Very true.
Wind power is clean and safe, creating a great source of energy for Italy. However, focusing on Rome, there is an obvious downside, which is the lack of space. In a very crowded city with historic sites everywhere, there is not a lot of countryside for these big turbines to be located. However, in the greater region of Lazio, there is potential for wind energy to be created for the city of Rome. So basically offshore wind farms, which are widely available and becoming more and more popular. And wind power would be ideal combined with other renewable resources such as solar power and the increased use of electric vehicles and transit systems.
I think solar power is also a great way to use clean energy, and especially in cities like in Rome. Since being here, it has been considerably more sunny than in the US, so I think they would have a lot of benefits and success in the future. Solar power is easy and lasts for a very long time with very low maintenance. I think the investment is worth it in the long run, and the only problem I can see Italy running into is finding a large enough space for solar farms. At University of Illinois, where we go in Champaign-Urbana, there is a recently built large solar farm on campus. And I know that when that was built, it created a lot of jobs for people in Champaign for keeping up maintenance and just making sure it's all running properly. It also created an opportunity for a lot of students to volunteer and do research on how solar power is being used, not only in Champaign, but in just Chicago in general as well. So that was pretty cool, and I think having that opportunity here could teach a lot of millennials and up-and-coming students on how to incorporate solar power into businesses and schools all around the city. I also noticed that in Rome they have solar panels on a bunch of buildings. I noticed flying in and out of Fiumicino, there are solar panels on top of the Hilton Hotel that's located on property, and I thought that was pretty cool. I looked into it, and it helps heat the indoor pool that they have at the hotel, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Something I realized learning about wind energy is that a lot of people fear that with a shrinking oil sector that many jobs will be lost in the oil field. However, there is an extreme opportunity available with wind energy, as there are many opportunities for manufacturing jobs as well as installation jobs and basic upkeep jobs. And I think something that we realized across the board with renewable energy is that jobs aren't something that should be thought of as a loss, because in turn, with renewable energy, jobs will be created just as some jobs will be shifted from the oil industry that has been traditionally the booming business.
And in terms of electric vehicles here in Rome, I've noticed that a lot of cars are very tiny here compared to the ones that are seen in the US. And I think that these are some of the perfect vehicles that could benefit from electric emission. And I've also seen a lot of gas stations that certainly have space to install electric powered pumps that you would use to charge your car's battery.
So something we wanted to consider is how study abroad students like ourselves can contribute to achieve this goal of creating new renewable energy sources.
Exactly, Olivia. So they can help support clean energy by going to establishments that use solar power to power electricity in their businesses.
Another thing we thought of was learning more about the environment and the pollution in the city that you study abroad in. So in Rome, for example, upon doing some research about the energy that they do use, we realized there is not a ton of renewable energy being used, and so it makes us more conscious of what can be done in the future.
And while we're here, we can definitely advocate for cleaner energy by petitioning in streets and campaigning on social media and just doing research on knowing what options are in order to use clean energy and find alternatives for electricity and things like that.
And promoting this goal definitely doesn't end right when you leave Rome. I think after you leave, you can definitely continue to focus on sustainable energy sources when you return back to the States, and you can keep the conversation going on social media, and you never know what opportunities can arise.
So clean energy is extremely important for the Sustainable Development Goals, and Italy in particular. The world can benefit as a whole from using sustainable energy sources, and there are many opportunities to do so with wind, solar, and electric vehicles.
Renewable energy can be a game changer for businesses all around the world. In Italy particularly, oil and gas are very expensive, so finding alternatives like clean energy can help to advance the country into less traditional values.
Also, students can learn about the different types of renewable energy and keep them in mind as they go into the workforce and potentially invest in properties and work for green companies.
So yeah, that's all we have to say about renewable and sustainable energy. We hope you guys take this into consideration in the future. Thank you.